I think I just went full circle on the AI hypnosis. I started out as a skeptic, and then I turned slowly into a believer. And then believing turned me into kind of a doomer. And now I'm turning back into a skeptic, and I will explain why. It feels like this whole AI thing is such a mass hypnosis. Everyone is in a total frenzy, and we can't see the forest for the trees. But if you spend a little bit of time trying to understand what's actually happening, it kind of all makes sense, and it's just a smoke curtain at this point, at least for me. So let me tell you why. Do you guys remember those annoying chatbots that we had before ChatGPT that companies were trying to implement to sort of automate their customer support? They had those pre-baked in responses that you had to prompt in a certain way to get. Those were so annoying. I was always trying to jailbreak them to talk to an actual human. So at that point, when anyone was talking to me about I would sort of think about those and laugh because, uh, at that point, AI seemed so far away. Didn't seem implausible. I thought it could be possible, but it seemed for a very, very distant future, something that it was just a little bit too science fiction. So then suddenly ChatGPT came out, and out of a sudden, things started feeling very, very real. I remember very vividly how impressed I was when I started using it. I started giving it coding tasks to see if it can actually produce anything valuable and if it can adapt its response based on what I prompted. I started talking to it in my native language in Romanian to see if he can reply. And I was just mad impressed by how good it got in such a short amount of time, right? Out of a sudden, AI is here, it's among us. That was the initial impact. So, yeah, needless to say, that kind of turned me into a believer, right? I was starting to see beyond the pre-programmed chatbot. I was starting to see an actual digital brain at work. I got so hyped that I started being the AI guy, right? Starting telling my friends about AI, putting them all on, telling them that you guys need to do this, you need to use it, this is the future. So I started being a true believer, right? Not long after the first version of ChatGPT came out, competition started to be more and more prevalent. We had multiple companies started providing AI services. We had Google, Anthropic, uh, Meta, OpenAI. So all of these companies started competing, and in a very short period of time, things felt exponential. Like the jump from GPT-3 to GPT-4 was substantial, was a huge leap. All of these tools came out to generate images, generate videos. Everything was happening so fast. All the discourse around this was so intense. And I kind of felt it like it was an exponential growth. And if things were to go at this rate, we would have like super intelligence very, very quickly. So at some point, it kind of got a little bit scary, to be honest. So naturally, what I started to do when things got scary for me was, I started to research actually how safe is this technology. Now, if you didn't have a chance to research this yourself, I will tell you the gist of it. A lot of people say that AI will basically kill us, and most of these people are actually in the AI field. They are experts. Some of them actually contributed to creating these models. And it's pretty compelling, since they are the ones that created it. They're experts, and most of them uh, talk about probabilities like 5%, 10%, 20, 50% that AI will kill us in the end. They say that AI is not aligned, and the progress is going too fast for safety to keep up. At some point, we will have super intelligence that is not going to be aligned with the interests of humans, and this is just going to be bad for us. It's going to be a very, very disruptive technology, and at some point, it's probably going to get rid of us entirely because we will just be in its way. So I will be honest, all of these doomerism predictions were kind of getting to me at some point. And, I have every reason to be concerned about this. I started a family. I work in a field that is very affected by this. I'm a software engineer. Uh, I have a mortgage. I can't afford to lose my job. I can't afford to not have control over my future. And this is what all of this propaganda about AI kind of tells you. All jobs will be replaced in the very near future, especially my job. And yeah, you just have to adapt. You have to use the tools. You have to stay relevant by using AI. So this, I will not lie, this definitely got to me, and it was causing very intense distress. But at the same time, being a software engineer, I work with AI every single day. I use it in my coding tasks each and every day. So I still have a very close connection to the actual technology, so beyond the narratives, you know. And this is actually where the circle slowly started to close, right? So I slowly started to realize that I was falling for the marketing BS that all of these companies are trying to propagate in the online space. Fundamentally, what a large language model is, and I'm not an AI researcher, I'm not an expert, so take it with a grain of salt, but fundamentally, what they are just statistic probability machines. They create output, they create all of the language output by weighing the probability between words, and they just create a story, right? So uh, this is this is the gist of what an LLM does. Obviously, I'm oversimplificating. First of all, because I am not understanding this very deeply, and second of all, just to keep this short. But um, if you understand the basic concept of how an LLM works, you slowly start to understand the fact that the biggest problem that these models have, for us at least right now, as a disruptor for the industry, as something that will eventually replace all the jobs, the biggest problem that they have is that hallucination is unavoidable in an LLM. So, depending on what you ask it, the model is always going to finish that story for you. It doesn't really know anything, it doesn't understand right or wrong or truth, fact or fiction. It just has some numbers attached to words, and it tries to use the most likely word that comes after the whole story before it. So after I had a very good understanding of this, I realized that uh, LLMs cannot fundamentally be the basis of AGI, you know, because it's just like having a psychedelic storyteller that can invent stuff all the time. You have no idea whether it's right or wrong, and you can't have any you can't trust it, right? You can never trust it because this is just a computer program. It's not It doesn't have consciousness. It doesn't have accountability, right? So it's just and the way that these companies are trying to overcome this very important shortcoming of LLMs is by working around it, right? So right now, LLMs are basically trying to fact check themselves by using all these tools like reasoning and fact checking. They are, they are searching the internet to see if what they say is actually true or not. They are kind of questioning themselves by giving their own output as input to themselves and trying to reason about it. But this is just working around the model, right? This is not improvements to the model itself. The fundamental model is still hallucinatory by nature. It's the same. So the problem with all of these workarounds that these companies do is that these workarounds are extremely expensive, right? So think about it like this. Previously, when you just had the regular LLM, just the pure model, you would just feed the question and it would give you an answer. And in certain cases, that answer might be totally incorrect, right? Just to remember how Google rolled out their Bard LLM in Google search, where if you would ask it, how many rocks should I eat a day, it would give you like a stupid answer. Like, generally speaking, 2 to 5 rocks a day is fine. Like this is just how LLMs work. If you ask it stupid questions, it's going to give you stupid answers. So if you prompt a system like that, you know, you give it 10 words and it's going to compute all of those words and churn out and give you like, let's say, 250 words back. So, for LLMs, you are being charged for how much you use them. And this means that, you would get charged for, let's say, 260 words, right? But now with all of this reasoning behind, so all of these mechanisms, right, that are trying to prevent LLMs from hallucinating and actually give true and accurate responses back, all of these make this so much more expensive because you give it a 10-word prompt and in turn it creates the first 250 words, then it fact checks, so it goes and takes those words and runs like a fact checking API call, is trying to read all of the facts, is trying, then if it got something wrong, is trying to recreate it, it's going back. So it's just taking those 250 words and transforming them into 2000, 4000 words. It's trying to, process that, and in the end you get 250 words back, but the model actually used like 3000, 4000 words, right? So this definitely means that if you want more quality, you have to pay much, much more. So, this actually raises the question of, is AGI, like true AGI that they are trying to make us believe that is going to destroy the world, is this actually possible with LLMs? And there are some hard limits to that are becoming very obvious now. So first of all, scaling to have something like this is going to be extremely difficult. They need the compute power, they need data centers, they need all the actual electricity, the power to run those, they need water, they need permits, they need time to do that. So it's like, these are very hard limits unrelated to the actual models. If you don't have the infrastructure, you just can't achieve this, right? So this is the first thing. The second thing is that actually adopting these models is going to be so expensive. Right now, all of them are subsidized like 90%, right? So let's say you do a prompt that right now costs you $1. In reality, it costs $10. So like I said previously, these companies are made for profits. At some point, they will need to make profits, and they will need to raise prices. So if having uh, access to an AI service that is going to cost like $2,000 or $3,000 is something that you want, you're going to actually have to question it, right? Is this something that I need, or is this something that is actually going to bring any business value? So yeah, I don't know how many people are going to adopt these very smart AIs if it's going to cost so much. And one other aspect that I slowly started to understand is that even if you have all of these checks, fundamentally, an LLM is still an LLM. It's like it's a computer program, right? It doesn't have any accountability, doesn't have any incentive, it doesn't understand anything, it doesn't know. So actually, it being a valuable asset to your company, if you have like real work that you need to do there, at some point it's going to make mistakes that nobody's going to be accountable for, right? And humans, they need this, right? If you have a business, there are so many things that are implicit in how businesses run, and you rely on people that know the business, that you just tell them, I need to do this, and your colleague says, okay, that and that's it. You don't need to prompt it. You don't need to, you don't need to tell all the details to your colleague. They know, they understand the business. This is something that LLMs don't have, and at the moment, context, the larger it is, the worse the LLM performs. So definitely, I see like a very big challenge here. Um, and in the end, I think the most important part is that people are just not going to take this. People are not going to accept having AI take all of their jobs, because one, it's just going to be a big social problem, and two, just the economy won't work, won't function. It's like basic economics. If you don't have anyone to buy your services or your product, it's pointless to have a company, right? So yeah. So yeah, guys, this is my full circle now. I started becoming kind of skeptical again. So I'm not actually, I would say that I'm not a skeptic. I'm more of a pragmatist. I still see LLMs as very useful tools. I use them each and every day. They are pretty good at what I do. I still need to do a lot of hand holding, and orchestrating and directing, and but that's fine for me. I actually like it because I that's the part of the job that I like. I don't necessarily like writing the actual code, but I like creating the systems that are needed for the features that we want. So I still use AI a lot, and I still find AI and LLMs, I find them as a very useful tool. But I am very, very skeptic about the possibility of LLMs being the foundation of an AGI. I still think that there are so many aspects of intelligence that are not tackled by LLMs, and just growing them bigger and having more compute is not going to solve those. I think is actually going to make the problem worse, and is going to make it more expensive. There are many aspects to an actual intelligence that need to be implemented and figured out first before we can reliably say that we are working towards an AGI that is imminent, right? So yeah, these are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about this. Am I wrong? Am I right? Do you have anything else to add? Yeah, just let's start a conversation about this in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.